All right, welcome to the Dai Tao Show. 我做朋友意识的，从零十度，你看，我去先，你要一度，用退教，你要一度，leader 到贝鲁 community，贴到路得车米干了呢。So joining us tonight is Major Peter Vang. He retired from the U.S. Army after negation of explanatory service. The being called military career tone, each of the job, the way to private, Army National Guard. Jane your son, the retired tone, the itu major 2022. The service ma they ten tao hang the mu the deploy the san mu Iraq, the san mu Afghanistan, the san mu Northern Syria, the other region, not the Middle East. The mu 在陆地上呢，你就咪搞到志向，如果到我考虑 alongside NATO partners, Europe, then serve into U.S. Army intelligence officer after new finish your course of training and education. New graduate from Army Officer Candidate School to Intelligence School. Chỉ đạo leader major và nữ có commitment grow law hành để nữ chấm sắm mu cha thầu ở ta hạ thiệt nữ law chế nữ law với từ trong thời cho được bé nữ tuổi đại BA in history, two master degree, one in education, they call it strategic defense study, nữ có itu business entrepreneur, nữ tao đại business entrepreneurship degree, thầu nữ thầu ấy nữ với tụ ta nữ họ có itu realtor thiệt chế nhiều con non nữ có co-found Herizon Builders, nữ có với lan lụa nhớ hậu Saint Paul, nhưng tàu hậu lửa trong cơ lỡ commercial to residential construction. Rongxia had the major va. It's an honor tonight to have you with us. Thank you for your service to Belu Te Chao Su, the Shi got a gay job, it is on the job, Belu Hmong community. Welcome to the show.
Ocho, thank you, Dai, for that. It's I think Beitan Toji, we do have a story, experience and toka te ka kula nyoho ka podcast na ka. I just want to share, what I know, learn, through my experience in the military, in life, just to kind of share with Beja, Monkuti Ningcha, just to experience and just to, perhaps to kind of have some thought provoking ideas or anything that they might have. Yeah.
Okay, what Joe? What lesson from your military intelligence experience apply to your understanding of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine? Yeah, the Lumong, the có thể cái châu cái cờ cái bao lỗi từ này ta hạ được là military intelligence có là bỏ họ conflictเลยก็cho thì Ukraine ta nó có tàu tàu lịch giả thì có sao lịch giả.
Yeah, so big what the intelligence, but here basically what hold the not Jimmy Kama. Usually, hobby ball hold the whole news now. It's only like 10% usually a lot of stuff that they were behind the back the in the background, it's all secretive. So usually a lot of the news iceberg on the top 10% they have to create a story now. But my understanding from my experience is that there's a lot of things going on behind that causes a lot of actions. And then sometimes let's just say, for example, which both for a fact, but usually Tomikata hey Patriot missile or Beja MLRS Beja Luam Ukraine. It could be that the sato iofitana, so like anything else in any organization, the military, the more PR system, the more to rep that always tells what everybody wants to hear, and then but behind they are big military, they do war game scenarios. อีกข้อยังไม่อีกข้อเต็มจะเลยยินเทีย10 up to like maybe 10 answer to it and 10 direction to get to the answer. So yeah, there's a lot of scenarios that plays a lot of I would say a lot of very smart here, very dedicated men and women that are involved. 即係你摸見到實通達嘅跌大嘅頭，我哋俾搏，就俾啲我有隻嚟自經嘅，或者可能嚟自有價值可能，but the reality is all that scenario I honestly think 你都冇實跌大啦 and then usually your military top thinker they don't think just about military they have to think about the economy they factor in the our domestic policy the presidential race they factor in allies neutral countries as so they factor all that stuff in and then the leader decide to take action that takes a lot of planning but everything is already strategic put in place training most likely and then so to big ball Ukraine and go bishop didn't go Mika here NATO kind of slow but I think in reality a lot of that stuff a little more but it's a big because the news and a lot of times the news they regurgitate the same information in between all the news because they're trying to fight for the spotlight on the news. So if they hear somebody say this, it's only a rumor. They might try to verify it, but then they might run with that rumors, and then everybody has the same story to tell. So that's how I see it when I watch the news or I see the current event with the Ukraine and Russia.
即我哋個係有呢個係一個啲咗所屬誒來作到，就係啲咪講殺咗落啲跑到 Ukraine 嘅，伊咪講都是殺啲嘅問題啦。Ukraine 到啲到啦，就是咪講主要係伊學到啲咯，來應古人呢個條都可以有殺啲跑咯，要去 Qhia 要都殺到啲嘿，比用殺啲跑多啊，要都殺問題啦同樣是要咗阿來咯 Ukraine 都是到就啲跑嘅問題啦。所以殺啲學個係你冇整啦。有領導呢，古努魯咪加大個嘛努魯冇。Describe your experience with NATO, whether it be war game or military exercise. How do you see NATO's role evolving in global conflict like the one in Ukraine? Mỗi lúc mong cái cái gì bắt tin bài đó bé thì bé cho chỉ tao họ luận NATO bé chỉ cho bảo cho NATO cái gì thì bé thì sẽ có họ experience đó NATO đó này NATO ya hai đó này ya chỉ tao bắt được NATO they stand for Northern Atlantic is it treaty organization right
yeah North Atlantic
cái lỡ so all the 俾咗對路對潮了咯，我朋友嘅呢就要落學到個快嘅，就要你多一路就你多單倉啦呢，就我落我學alliance 呢就個別個俾就同個門咗咯，你我後來呢你學我廿一次睇個學把啲NATO 做學 role 一好global conflict 中間。
Yeah. So historically, is World War II tana, Germany shoot Mika here Russia more Europe divide more fine. So the country is under Russia, Russia, actually from the Soviet Mika bana. That's how I see how NATO was be upon the so 同到啲咪個許多人或許多大啲咪個問嘢a lot of 嘢這樣問接跑啦。So for the last probably 40-50 years, Mika the budget, Mika military pretty much protect is an umbrella to protect all the European countries, especially NATO. So a lot of NATO is the further you're away from the Russian border, the less go worried to Russia. Yeah. Like a military investment. But the whole Russia law like Lithuanian, Poland under Soviet Russia. Then the NATO recently within the last 20 years,
Yeah.
So they're very scared of Russia because they're under Russia. So those are the one in NATO that are very hawkish. Russia
Mm.
those are the one that they're willing to fight the Russian. Because Germany, they're one of the top economy in Europe, if not the first one.
Yeah.
So they're willing to give but politically but
Mm.
a lot of the NATO countries, the smaller ones that they used to be in the former Soviet Union, they're willing. I bet you they secretly the whole Ukraine, you know, because
Mm.
and even though their military budget is very small, it's
Mm.
usually more than 2 to 3% of their GDP. Whereas like in Germany and some of the other countries that's further away from the Russian border, they
Uh-huh.
they they serve less than they put less than 2% of their GDP into the military. That's why when Trump was in when he was in became the when he was the president for the first time,
Mhm.
yeah, he hawked a lot on NATO. Because you're still more 2%. Each country has to give 2% in defense, and then
Oh.
that's why a lot of Mika bulked out because right now I think Mika basically about 3.8, almost close to 4% of GDP for military now.
Mm.
And the reality is that a lot of that money or a lot of that defense right now is going into China to tie the Pacific Ocean,
Okay.
Pacific realm. So the Shinamika is kind of telling NATO that, hey, we're focusing on China. You guys got to own up to your backyard, and this is where the Russians are. So there are some NATO country that
Mm.
but I think there are some that because of political handicap, or they don't see the danger of Russia as much. So NATO. It's like like you said, the 30 something countries is 30 something characters, individuals. You will see some
Mm.
that are very serious. They really want to take out their exercise very serious. There are some that are very laid back, and they kind of just play the motion. So yeah,
Yakka.
you see a lot of different one. Basically, whole German data in German game. Yeah, the German kind of. This is before the Russian Ukraine war. The
Mm.
German always feel like why what are we doing here? Like it's like
Oyama.
yeah, you're like a guest that it's annoying for the host now,
Uh.
but
Uh.
but if you go to the smaller country like Poland, they want more Americans there because it's a security, it's like an insurance policy that because they're on the border with Russia,
Mm.
if something happens to you, the American will be more involved. So yeah,
Yakka.
yeah, it's very everybody has their own. They're all NATO, but they all have their own individual and some of them, in order to be more powerful, they have to be friends with Russia, or they want to work economically with Russia. Like Germany,
Mm.
all their gas pipe and everything that comes from Russia, goes to Germany, and that's how they have such a low. Uh, uh, the cost of like the natural gas is very low because of due to their relationship with Russia. So yeah,
Oh.
it's a lot
Okay.
of layers of relationship that kind of builds up on each other. So it's hard to really define, who's really willing to to take the fight to Russia or not.
Yalin da uja. Yalin da uja. Germany. Gili chi tag NATO. Sima.
I think it's just well, you got the whole NATO, not got you more to back up, more
Mm.
thing, because everybody you kind of I think everybody's so connected in the world that
Mm.
let's say Germany là mua ý cho holy là lộ nhớ tại cái chờ này mua tới mình
Uh.
let's just say that if they're not part of NATO and yeah like cho nên nhớ hậu lúc tới chờ được tuần and like
Mm.
something happened
Mm.
and let you more need to back up now
Okay.
so NATO is like even like a small little country like Lithuania lo yeah cho nên我后来在地球人物就 represent 因为在地球like terrorists more day night right NATO sometimes NATO would get involved all NATO got involved when 9/11 happened and the Txog big building
yeah
all the NATO they enacted Article 5 and that's why Toka in Afghanistan all the NATO members were there to fight to protect. That's the only time they ever enacted Article 5 was from the U.S.
okay.
now. So that's why there was even German in Afghanistan fighting because of that article now.
因那个是别名字的，那头个木那叫那个 exercise 了，那话题那头一个 host 那等等了。
Yeah, so what they call exercise I think because 同的我后来more of a staff officer now. So big exercise is it's not like you 就都专门打下项目不要by 我后来要by 去學到呢 you know 要就都在樣的 in the headquarter 嘅了
你叫 night law 嘛
no 要叫 night law 是要後來叫 night law 先啦 okay so like 了麼war game 嘅了一時就 computer 多 each other 呢 you know okay you the enemy when you get to Russia actually you kind of know that they represent Russia 呢 okay 每一把是 Russia 嘅 tactic 後來每來就都在一條談一條 move into 要到每一把就睇呢了是了就都在 that the actual 都在 underground 嘅了 start moving it's like a chess game 呢 but you're kind of doing with realistically what you have on the ground so 了我領導嘅了對咗了我個 new shot 對咗我個 easy shot depend on the scenario 我個嘅個 general 一個 leader 你好 NATO 了保持個我嘅嘢了保持嘅 hey you know 估計麼就都係 capable 你 know 估計麼嘢好啦估到 ask look other country 都搞了把估咩嘅了我的後來我嘅 joint 我後來呢 because those leaders they all kind of grow up in the rank together so the more exercise go what you know the same colonel that maybe go work in from Belgium he might be a general that you'll be working with in 5 or 6 years now so everybody she born to the she talking again you both the hey ba new country no more asset no be she so that's just to kind of it's like a you know I guess it's like a football game you kind of make sure you know each other strength here capability I told you when it's game day you kind of know you know which player has limitation up to here and you think more people into the right position that's I think that's what the war game is basically about
有啲呢部戲叫 war game 你個睇呢隻呢部 NATO 隻單單 NATO 叫 country 多隻叫內塔下多隻呢 play 中國一個 chess game 係啲個把個背摸冇咯個摸一紅你咯個摸魯坦你咯個落個好摸一紅你咯魯坦塔下你咯俾無數都俾無數itu satu law da bizule teten ba ya Russia na ma ya jadi situasi tu ne to practice na ma practice ne thili bao ya de thong mo cho de tia la na NATO thili cho NATO cho nai la thi shi bao thi cho tha ha la thi bao za ne cho tha ha mu shin dao shi to thi mo kha yeng na ma ya
yeah come on yeah thì mỗi cho nhau hôm nay đồ lấy bố lưu Russia lấy cả tàu Russia cho tactic hết cho strategic lấy bố để Russia chỉ đi cho hết là thầu giờ một tí Russia ở chỉ tôi giờ là sa bát từ muốn để lấy muốn để cho nhau này đồ lấy tàu cho nó nè cái là mà play để lấy Russian cho Russian nè cái là mà chỉ là cho whatever resource là believe that Russia mua cái là chỉ so you can't just pull stuff out of the thin air like you know you can't just say oh yeah you know Bay Russia, Bay T90 tank now. We have 5,000, you know, in this area. You can't do that. That's not realistic. But they try to be as realistic as what they know. And then so you're playing chess, but it's like chess that's realistic in the sense that in real life, But chỉ mua là chỉ có sự chỉ tao, you cannot just say, oh yeah, cú mua luôn có tốt cho cú là mua cho nó. No, you got to chỉ mua có thể chỉ mua có tốt cho, you can't do that, you know. So yeah, so that's how they play the game. And then sometimes lỡ thoát sự qua cái Russian mua cho cha, or lúc đấy chờ enemy mua cho cha li you like or cái you cho nai thoát sự qua cái lỡ sư na cái lỡ because thầu lỡ sư na chỉ lỡ chỉ cần đau cha cái lỡ bông đau cha li thầu lỡ yên na.
I see. Yeah, cái cho nên cho chỉ phong yêu sự đó, trong xe tiệm họ nói là công cụ ở đại thao số, bây tụ khoa chữ sinh mà nó ya Major Peter Vang retire from the U.S. Army. Nếu cô我他下到能够北上nếu retire 上我怕能够nếu cô要一度 intelligent officer 同你我好如好但是呢nếu cô là 我一度 entrepreneur là一度 kia là lo 我 Lu co-founder of Herizon Builders nhớ thì nhớ họ mình số đã lu commercial residential em muốn nói nữa cũng là nó bị thả cho cao cho chủ sĩ thì Ukraine thế但是nó bị thả cho lên đó我chỗ này là công bé ya tiền này là công này họ cởi tao á chi nó tao á chi kia thế này bao cha họ cũ nó là thọ mua tụ tạm up thế họ subscribe cái bé mua cho khoa chữ sinh là ya bị xóa này thì bao này thì nó bị công nữa nè Major Peter Major Va from các họ perspective nó ya thả cho họ NATO cho war game là tiền này playing game thì bao thì sẽ yên là xử lý cha thì dục thì cởi tao cho nên from các họ perspective na how does the Russia's military strategy in Ukraine reflects the broader pattern of Russia called warfare that's not
Yeah, I think I think before Ukraine, you know, they started go Russia. They do, come on, draw example. They do John, right? The more draw here, you go in, the law here in China, like you know, has fangs. That she told how Ukraine war, my bench thought there Russia is a pretty much a paper tiger. Me at the you don't go to joy. So don't try him more draw. She told her to me, so yeah, Charlie Baseball, Charlie Cooper, this is just thầu the whole military. Actually, you see read your number here, you see what they just do to show that Russia here, they're expert in Russia. Then a lot of the near Russia, la more like the military, like the nine more kutana. So yeah, so la look they tell la Russia more it's almost like the mafia na. They're to law they both there. Let's say that you know, yeah, to former Russian to defense minister Shoigu, I think each young non you can yet see and the equivalent to each boy you pan right?
Okay.
Actually, you look Jane in your xialang.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I mean, you Jane xialang, he's getting new siphon to the military and the mona. And then, yeah, so near to law, actually, everybody underneath all in Dana to like, even to the private. So let's say you to private, whole Russian army, to nai, to more your jaw hole, look a little tan near Mutana, right?
Yeah.
To nai sang, go show them that, hey, got the molu, go to drive over 200 kilometers. That's why you jot that. So you have to lie. They talk a lot because they hey, go to night lie the near the jaw hole, lutana, more tana. Maybe Guma Molu Radio now more on you know like they have the equivalent of you know I don't know Amazon or something in Russia. Can you you know? So a lot of Russian Ukraine on paper actually in reality it's missing or yeah, you had to do a logistic officer. Let's say that you want to eat your tire, armor vehicle.
Yeah.
You just standard that specifically what actually the China or the cheaper one, and you can save 50%. And you know, pocket. And then we found that a lot of the tires, Ukraine, you know, because you are Russian parts. I mean, I'm sorry, you are short your part on Johona, and it's not to the standard. como shy NATO, especially Mikana, everything is document. Yaka nyakona, kukumo experience where konyaho pelu unit it goes missing,
Yeah.
and they will track the commander 3 years ago. A lamonu fine, because
Wow.
the military, U.S. military specifically here, I think most of NATO, you don't that the people pay for you. Like your paycheck comes from the people now, right? So there's a lot of layers of um, auditing to make sure that kasi
Only.
So
Only.
yeah, more for pay if you got that Paul go missing, sometimes they close the whole base. Everybody go out and look for that pawn, then goes that pawn, yeah,
Wow.
goes Whereas I think the Russian, it's the little culture of like 念孔啊，because 了去到念到我后来了去到念到嘅they have this culture of 念孔啊。So the bigger picture is that a lot of the equipment is not 要嚟我這裡了係了就念次了一摸着好摸了other military they would have been very strong, but everybody from the top level to the lowest private take a lot of the stuff away from the military. And then the reality is that, on paper, come on, Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Actually, come on, ningo jilu the inda the jimo, the copper cable or the radio to communicate. So, go you to Russian, you're at a big disadvantage.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Cú surprise cái thế đó khó vì hết tiền thầu có cho nó bí cái cú tiền u cha u lý có hay you know the Russia mà cú research mà lấy in ya lý lu number 2 army in the world mi cả ta cái Russia cái số lo lên nó cái để sử u cha thầu lấy to Ukraine u lý cha cú bên nó cú tu khen tiền bây giờ ta lên nó là lấy giờ bây giờ lấy chỉ cho lu máy lấy chỉ tao Qhia hay thì lấy chỉ bu Ukraine bao thì lu máy lo một lấy cha
Like
để sử
the
u cha
surprise na kana pa ya.
yeah ผมว่าเขา surprise luละล่อตัวไปchỉ baoนะแต่是中国头里这了我知道 actually 这我哩个还要这Major Peter 要一度retire army intelligence officer 这你好别的到 Russia 了只么少了别的了都奈老库了都 Ministry Defense 库呢这了中国 mafia 这嘛这一度库一度都老头一个这都了头一个这一零头一個就落咗好，佢那就做到 private 就到 private 就做樣車相當得大，個就攞住你就奈他下到攞到哪是，誒你睇你用個 Russia 睇你按你睇你多個狀態唔攞你支援 Ukraine 哩，Major Peter 佢弄個啲，大家冇弄真係叫 war game 你 practice 你試下呢，你贏了你輸 Russia 呢，同你 practice 同呢。
So usually it depends on Gucci Diatashi Dali Gupo. It depends some years that people that it's very serious now. They let's say okay beshuna because ya to beshu je la beti na. I've been 4 or 5 times. I think 5 times into Europe because they were NATO working. Actually, I think to you be to one day to mo jotona. Lesaka everybody tao khăn nhân zhong here cả số tu cả là lumbe zhong de the work kind of easy cả everybody ying now right
Okay.
actually tao a more cho the de people got serious de la work you shoot yeah educate there tu no ni cho khăn nhân chi zhong la educate so the both it's realistic na
Yeah.
the lots of work you shoot na so it depends on the season bên nhớ tới chúng mình cái nào biết là mua Iraq or Afghanistan là biết the same thing thầu ấy cũng nhớ thầu you nhiều cái từ private you mua chỉ là số một job cho right
Yeah.
you pay working không là you yên cũng sẽ all the time you can night là yên ya cái là rong cái là cho credit rong á actually thầu biết mua one day biết mua Iraq Afghanistan it became very serious so big instructors also work up they shoot like there's a no winning situation got you you know, and especially the instructor, there are a lot of them came back as veterans. So the boat she thought the boat the technique saying
Yeah.
so a lot of the working is the same thing too.
Okay, thì giờ lên đó giờ có hai lý có nó chỉ bị chữ thì ta kỳ nó giờ Russia lúc trước lo là lý ya tôi châu Poland là trong Germany NATO chỉ lý đồng đồ một số đó là Russia nó có sao thì NATO bộ yên là NATO也是
I think this is just my opinion right now. They will NATO you know because Russia and go the only thing they have is nuclear missile. The reality is NATO also has as much or more nuclear missiles ready too. And a lot of the military analysts that Russia you can watch the conventional army the way the tree here the conventional army it's probably the same thing with nuclear arsenal.
Oh, damn.
So it could be that let's just say example maybe half the nuclear missile she worked on that. You don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of analysts Russia work actually the take care because the money siphon up for due to corruption, you know.
Okay.
So that's why I think Russia always they do a lot of chest pounding, a lot of like you know saying, hey,
yeah,
Ukraine nuclear, but they've been saying that for the last 2-3 years, but they don't do anything because both it'll trigger and then NATO is going to be all out war and they don't have enough manpower to do anything or like technology to do anything to protect themselves. Yeah.
You know, Major ว่าก็เขา point ก็ very important นะกูชิญญาสาจอนก็ที่Major ว่าเดียยี่ห้อให้เดียUkraine จะ other ทหารจะ Russia จะทหารจะ conventional ทหารแล้วจะในคู่นี้จะ very very likely that จะตัวจะ nuke จะในทหารแล้วตัวจะ nuke แล้วยิ่งคู่นี้แล้วที่เราเขา program จะอันเช่นที่จะ nuke แล้วตั้งท่อที่ชีว่าเขาเลยที่เรายิ่งมั่วthat's a really good point. Now, Major Peter, Major ว่า要หาลิกอนนะก็สาเหตุRussia ล่ะตัวรู้นุกตัวมีการจะนุ่งหมู่ที่ในเราตัวเราจะนุ่งหมู่ก็บุษา like I mean don't you think that เดียวall in เราจะเชื่อตัวตายชิมที่ยังเสือ
Yeah, I think I think 头也是多还冇個嘅，I think 我哋等於得大了，because 我哋個頭已經要播熱舊啦，這種啦。你每個 article 係嘅，hey, I think Russia here have enough nuclear to destroy the world like over 100 something times now. Like for example, 我哋有家有而家冇被揭露咗 nuclear submarine 啦，你冇見到佢就 boomer 啦，就 boomer 啦嘛。All they do is 你冇見過好 under the ice, the Arctic ice 啦。
Okay.
Today, the president say, hey, need to do better. They just pop out of the ice and then they shoot. I think each one of the submarine morning go blow nuclear missile na.
Wow.
Actually, the nuclear missile na when you got any term who mirrors na to ilu nuclear missile tao lu submarine na. Ni lo the program le mo like to ni tao ke ni ya to jing 一路这路呢，今年因为 G 的下路small 就要好呢 ，right？ 哦，这个的 program 叫 city 要好 Russia 单套都真的呢。So 一路呢多今你叫 smaller， 给了都要冇中就 city。So 一路 summary 能够 blow 路let's just say 能够 blow 路 times Gina, right? You can pretty much destroy a Russia. Yeah, just with one submarine. So wow. I think anytime you got I don't know, but we thought that you got more X number of your nuclear submarine hiding everywhere. Yeah. The president hide and then that's just only that's only one arm, the muaj intercontinental ballistic missile. Like in เรามองขอจัวเฮียขอไอเรามอง Kingo and then เราจะมั่วจะ nuclear bomber force นะ so in reality I think a lot of people มีการจินเนี่ยขาดจากคนต่างนะ because I feel like มีการ military มาa little bit more professional นะเจเราจินเนี่ยคือขาดทิ้งนะI think but Russia มา I think they're a little bit desperate เราเนี่ยขาเฮีย show off เรามั่ว nuclear เฮียเราตัวโตให้หมดนะเฮียเราจะจำหมดนะ I think มีการI feel like Mika more has my charge Mika Jinian cards because it's sort of like their ace in their ace in the sleeve now, right? But some of the to teach you need to tell you much taught the thing that they post So I feel like Russia look kind of they're desperate so what the ecology look more experimental you can get that you bit more and I got hey the near thing chai got so talents so that's how I feel.
ก็ภาษาเดียมีการยาลูได้จดที่นั่นยาไอ้ถอยเลยชิโร่ฮิโรชิมาเดียจะโอซาก้า
Hiroshima and something else yeah
就เลยตัวก็ภาษาเดียถอยมีการยาจะตัวเอาลูกทำอีกบ้านเนาะจะมีการเลยจำมั่วเลยยาเลยเดียเลยจิตสาชีเลยแล้วเขาเวียเดียลูเชียนเลยตัวญี่ปุ่นในตัวจง a lot of innocent people ตัวนั้นก็คนนั้น play lead เดีย
I want to say I don't think you play at all to the American leader here, the military leaders. I feel like Mikana at the end of the day, Mika is like a person that need to if somebody's about to take your life now, you will use everything in your that you have to protect yourself. Like you come on Mika say itu individual now. Let's just say that the nuclear weapons you're right? They need to if they feel they're in danger, most likely honestly I feel like Mika you'll shoot back now, so I don't think I think military there's critical you most that so like environmental factor like citizen like basic your factor one day you make a decision I think a lot of those are in play like such a actually reality at the end of the you one day you one day you because you can't risk like 100,000 of good so I think Mikai at the end of the day I think Mika will fight back or do a preemptive before anything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good insight. Yalin dana touch na ya no we live ta ga ha Russia ma lo ma nian dao ho xia de le to ja nuclear bomb yalin tu one z cha de le yo mu low le threshold de le to ja nuke de tie le ha de to le to le lu supersonic de le yin dao ho xia de bei mo ja supersonic noก็mo sa ne to li no le NATO 咯，又係啲美加咯，又 Ukraine 同你保定Russia 冇咗 supersonic missile 那了，兩個啥嚟㗎？你不 alter 你咗 strategy 嚟㗎
？Ku saat itu le alter actually I feel like Ukraine 比較le more ability to do anything to counter but what they can do is they can play the victim hey NATO 你只把俾嘢俾就俾成多俾就面弱多俾擼項目嘅俾擼 school 嘛like a supersonic cruise missile or ballistic missile 冇多啦俾你只把啦 so they can play that game to especially the European 個le ball 呢個European here NATO le ball 個le 冇 share 把le I think, Ukraine, I don't think they can defend themselves here. But in other ways, Ukraine, Ukraine, I think they're willing to do more riskier stuff against Russia, like drone instead of Russia, the military, Russia, the they can push the closer to that red line, because hey, Russia, the advanced missile, we have to do something else to protect ourselves. They're willing to, take more risks of Russian civilian or even like a government building that are not military related. So yeah, that's it's more of an escalation. But I don't think in reality Ukraine can do anything to protect themselves against without NATO's help.
Okay. Yeah, like hi. Could you tell me your call contact now? A bit of what you say, Major Peter Vang, who retired from the U.S. Army. The whole don't go based on you have to intelligence officer there. And no, no, tell you like compare no beta, meej. Major Vang, cũng nu có tiền yêu linh đỡ nó ya. Thầu Russia 打到有冇我講咗咯 Russia 冇晒一人到一個 pack 咗說的，嘅呢種人咯，俾啲幫係啲Russia 晒一人 pack 咗 North Korea，嘅 North Korea 睇你殺了要打下冇把 Russia。And the Shwane, like where does Shwa and where does Iran and where how did this play out? Like le Pakistan na ya le mo le bai pa na ko bỏ li giả sử na.
Yeah, I mean, Gucci Bong Dashi, Gucci, you shake and don't die, other military analysts, really smart thinker. Most shown that the high here you bought, you thought agree is that China is such a big country here. The Munia here, a majority of la lot in Europe here in Jamaica, right? They show digital. They can't give like military like most of the here like Russia because you told the sanction from Europe here from US now here Australia, Canada, all that, and that's 80% of their economy right there. So I think maybe the tool here each material that can support like a secondary support to Russia at the most, that they deny that they cannot get upon. Whereas I think North Korea the advanced technology or like a nuclear, so they're willing to Russia more technology like and they're willing to trade like soldiers' lives here like artillery here like to help Russia because I don't think they have nothing to lose because North Korea I think Iran Iran is the same boat as North Korea the boat there Russia mutual benefits because of the war because Iran the nuclear program the more advanced and the only one that has advanced that they are willing to give to them Russia so Iran Russia technology beyond Israel maybe someday reach the US in the night so that's I think the goal of Russia is just to get the manpower here conventional and then show a world important world player sanctioned by Nika here Europe whereas North Korea here Iran nuclear missile to protect themselves to projectile power and then they're willing to do anything for that because they're already getting sanctioned. There's no point for them to take back from that.
Okay, that makes sense. North Korea 同個攞咗所說嘅 North Korea 咧，沙利就你冇把 Russia 攞同佢講下沙利就聽。
Yeah, good idea. North Korea 嘛一個細嚟咗攞住攞就嚟鋪嘛，你冇就你買到通plan的路線啦，邊啊？Yeah，到時嘛，所以嚟學咗啦。North Korea 所以講嘛係啲一個有許多蘇美加喺 South Korea 頭，以前你不知道到呢 ，in the Korean War 呢，你就 metal 一個 war 到呢 ，so a lot of 就嚟鋪浪呢，你就 metal 呢，有就 metal 呢 from the war 呢。So a lot of it, like a general, has no experience. Let's more any military strategic thinking here education she dona so away took a little more experience so yeah got the little she dona South Korea la mi kama la la sala ja tu tomo she dona je ka here la janai to ka
Oh.
na je ka la ta
Oh.
to a modern military experience ka la ja mo get a new la thing ready she dona South Korea that might be one of the reason why they do it another is that North Korea la bảo vệ la sa cả nhất tế bảo vệ la kinh hiện la trong la kinh một nhà na hiện la shit tại một nhà na hiện la sự ổn được cả nhất tế actually I don't think that's really working right now yeah la cho li you bỏ mà la cho tactics la shi mà yeah back from isn't you chỉ blow na you know or you wave after wave more try more chính Ukraine cho họ tao hiện la cho line na and then it's easy for Ukraine more to pick off with drones here, artillery here, the cluster artillery shell go chilling at the same time. But usually Russian la kinh zao here la cái zao here la chỉ ổn định đó xin cho đi big bomb mà cho nó cho đi nuclear la zao la bố shit to na.
Oh, okay, okay. Cái này cái ya, theo đó họ สมัยเสียปจียวจีนมาเลยยิ่งสิตัวเลยกันนะอีเจ้าตัวเยเจ้าตัวอีเจ้าตัวเยเจ้าตัวเจเนี่ยนอนในจีจงเนี่ยนอนเจตัดต่อจงโตอยู่ขึงใจซื้อก็สิถามมันจีจ้าเนี่ยเขาให้เดีย you know like what message what message do you think your Ukrainian soldier the civilian what might be a message for them based on ก็ขอ experience อย่างนี้ก็รอรู้อย่างที่ก็ใช้จะรออีจะรู้มุโจจะ Ukrainian ทหารแล้วที่จะ civilian จะแล้วไม่เป็นสิ่งก็หายจากตัวเลย
Yeah, I think you có bao nhiêu dùng hông chị so you need hết sĩ thủ là sĩ tuổi là they're the underdog now, right? And là mà chỉ so from nhà là here the communists. So I think you feel like you feel for the Ukrainian because ultimately they just want their own freedom to to kind of let's say closer to Europe to become more European to be more democratic. I would say that just have patience. I think democracy works in such a slow way, but it's better than a dictatorship to be under like a tyrant. Thầu gọi là shit tới here gọi là kind of just hold on because I think Ukraine chỉ shit tới here là chỉ stubborn một lần and they would have lost. Nobody would have come and helped them. But the reality is that let's go into nerdy kid in your whole school playground and stand up to the bully and he bloody the bully. Look on Juna, right? And so everybody else is like, okay, this little kid can do a little kid on the bully.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll back this kid up, So I think Ukraine is like the underdog. Nobody expecting Ying actually, I mean, survive now, but they not only survive, but Russia, Shahina. So just hold on, and I think half of the European state, at least serious, there's been talks about train, take care of the less to take care of certain part of the military more of the Ukraine like even France wants to go in there to take care of certain things, to control certain things, to put Ukraine. So I think a lot of European are involved. I think for unfortunately, Mikama, we have the Atlantic Ocean to protect us. So it's not a danger to us. But I think a lot of strategic thinker in the U.S. later thought they by Ukraine, it will just open the door for other tyrants to take over other countries too. So
còn có một chuyện là có họ point cái thứ này trả lời point you của từng guest mà nói Major Peter Vang retired negotiation from the U.S. Army to intelligence officer. Còn có hay là nữa, do liên tới nữa nè. cho cho mua bị chữ này ya bị chữ hay tia có chơi li có chơiแต่ฉันก็包里ก็包แต่ฉัน let's go back to 一切就不做就一呢个要只老那 point 一度 trusted advisor 一度 military leader how would you how would you advise what kind of strategy what kind of decision ก็有我个八个被多个找的就老做
Yeah, that's họ có ý ấy coi yeah, unfortunately, which found out as much about yeah, see le khó sĩ tuần nhau là chỗ nào, but I think the cũng có cái big họ tụt cho mình cả is that bây mong mà kinh sĩ tuần guerrilla warfare này sĩ tuần chỉ có一百sĩ lúc thản nhân sĩ tuần bây giờ cho nên kinh cổ tạo cái tuần á guerrilla warfare thầu mình cả bỏ để bây kinh để lấy mình cả muốn bây transform một lúc conventional army tới giờ mình cả nè cái thằng đấy bây đi bị sư nè because giờ bây sĩ tuần conventional nên suy nghĩ lại chỉ lấy một triệu pound đâu, một tuần đầu chạy lấy một không đầu chạy lấy giờ chính là chỉ mình cả muốn bây giờ conventional 或容易咪介俾必須咧，亦同埋俾啲討論到啦。just reading from history here, the lesson learned, and 咪介就nay冇數見啦。Maybe you can go back in time. You advise that hey, play with your strength 啦 which is 俾人冇嘢依就係煲，俾長就俾煲就中，俾煲就下俾煲 everything。basically called guerrilla tactic continuously 選到 plus 有那就特別有南邊陣用嘅是就南邊陣用with guerrilla tactics yeah you 煲佢跳對就應用咗嘅this is where 個就 scouts 個就冇就煲就陸地場到 some can guide 咪嘅就 bombers 都多and to kind of use Mika technology to the India versus you more she or conventional army mushi to because the reality is you more to you to eat part to it to eat part to you shine actually is a drop in the bucket yeah.
一個可能個一項個 point 啦major 話都可以加多 conventional 好收越南聽到越南嘅嚟咗他啲多只就只拍到呢嚟試學 tactic 嚟到俾就蒙住俾個多種式啲 that's a really good point 因為到古都個啲個我他都能夠俾上 tell us a story that where when you're in the field 咁我他都只上到咗啲嗰時表面是保姆啲老師後係啲我即係估有次播估年估知咯，你有電車估大家冇做估啲車
yeah
有啲是多年
yeah so 然後 Iraq 呢就你估播嘛 Iraq 嘛你就都頭你就Iraq 多用咧就Saddam Hussein 就 former 都做咧就同你嘛俾冇好發嚟現同佢哋你Al Qaeda 啲人一般會Al Qaeda 你是多嘢你只不過多嘢你個你個 culture 和 Iraq 嘛你人才多些啦即你多要嘛你多歷練冇跑你多嘛你人才多嘢你是人才嘅你多嘢專家呢就你個 experiment 因為 Iraq 嘛佢專才冇因為 Afghanistan 個 Afghanistan 嘛你個 culture 嘅個你人才多呢你人才多嘅你同你多要嘛你多啲啲嘅要多呢 so I feel like Afghanistan it's a scarier place 就 Afghan 是多就咪咁嘛你個蒙住咗啦你一零有一路中嘛又要多好路中嘛你只可以有你對呢要你只嘢要叫你多要嘅先啦 you know I don't know if most people were like that in the past but very tribal here very 你就你經有手中嘅你一直有嘅你到幾個冇個對落嚟冇都能整啊，然後俾佢教咯，俾住冇咗嘅，俾住冇個 stamina 嚟啦。So 一嚟就好嘅啦 ，they have nothing Afghanistan mà let you mua a lot of worldly items. They don't have anything. So let's call reputation is like let's call biggest thing. Thầu là shit tona yuna. It's all about the reputation. They're willing to do let's say okay, they're willing to die, no. So they're more scarier in Afghanistan. For example, nhiều cái môi tụi mình nhỏ có giống là bây mô này tụi ông cổ cơ là cho nên như什么年假都跑东街贴被多好啊被路开心啊 you know 你look and like by himself you know and you want to die because bây mô này tụi ông cổ cơ cho nên chính you believe in the uncle chỉ ấy tụi nên xếp pay nữa actually tụi bây bỏ mà ní ấy tụi này ôm bông nữa but yeah Iraq usually experience something like that you know Afghanistan you Afghan tụi you mà they don't get paid to throw you because of your you know it's an honor thing or it's you know so so I would say that although nobody ever shot at me directly sometimes you know but it's often it's often the bullet you it's more accurate. It comes from the Afghan because they're determined to kill you.
Có bao giờ thì cho Afghan nó, well, you know, Russia tới một tour Afghan thì lấy tới sư thế này bây giờ. Cái cái sao thì thằng mình làm một tour Afghan nó cái sao thì mình cái sư thế à?
No, bị sư ya. Cái bộ history of Afghanistan, cái bộ Alexander the Great nào. So thấu need to conquer thấu Persia need to conquer đó. Nhưng mà Afghanistan is sư hiện the British Empire thấu British conquer India là tung cái Afghanistan ở là sư tàn thọ nè. Cái bộ thì thấu bây giờ Afghanistanจะตู้cho British nè. Làจะmuốn lúc khai nè là chuẩn chế tao thì làจะบอกcông業thấu ấy tôi sĩ tôi Afghanistan tôi nè more fall underneath là lúc khai nè you know because Afghan is lấy Molum Bay show there is the graveyard of empires and it's true because lúc đấy chẳng là chỉ mua chi này right chân nên hậu chỉ là you a stranger tôi chỉ là chỉ khả năng tôi là chỉ cái so anything because a lot of them lấy chỉ bảo cho political nè là bỏ thì you tôi cái hậu you đi rồi thì lần chạy là tôi một cái cho bé một số thì là chỉ sao bây giờ Russian nè because yeah, mình cái đó một bây giờ tôi cho mình cái đó một số chỉ là chỉ sao thì Russian chứ cho lâu rồi cho là cho bỏ tới mà là shit tuổi là chỉ cho yeah là nhớ cái khó chơi mà it's like time stand still nè cái cho nên là nhớ cái mà nhớ có giờ ở bên trong ta là Russia tốt nữa chứ từ thâu bên trong trong là chỉ sao thì bên trong Russian nữa nè chứ là chỉ ba shit tuổi này á
wow
but yeah Afghan you know ilu trong ilu ha there's many different tribes la shinzu la shi thầu ya chúng mình cái này nè it's not like là nhau Thái Yên they shoot la shoot each other now you know yeah
cho nên chỉ muốn lâu đấy chờ là lấy shit nên nó shit to lâu thế nào
mà la shoot each other there's an example thầu cũng nhau whole central Afghanistan it có chơi lu province who Chalky Wardak cũng có cái thầu mà ít như bộ bây giờ tầm mà Germany tung build ilu dam nhá hỗ trợ lu dây dò họ it's a huge dam á thì thầu bây thầu xong ốp phá cầu ý cái ở bên nhau đó chứ lu dam đó chứ mua I think like bây lu turbine cái kỹ tàu phải phát ở cái dây dò đó right thì ilu ở họ lu chịu họ lười because có cú hành nè thì bây giờ USA thì bây giờ tôi giờ engineer một kho cái tàu cái turbine cái mua phải phát ra lúc cái dây dòng tàn thọ thì nếu một số thì bị constant get shot like cái một bị tổn à right cái mua là chấm lẩu và bây giờ lục phải nè thì bây giờ thì tàu giờ Taliban á và tàu cái bên kia tàu thì no cho tàu bây giờ ilu dây dòng là tàu phải phát from that one turbine á
okay
là tàu phải phát thì là chỉ sao cái là cho neighbor tàu nè thì là chỉ sao cái là cho neighbor tàu ý là chỉ là xuất một bị to cái bị xuất to call luôn tới cái because là ứng dụng cho neighbor nè so that's the reality in Afghanistan giờ có nhớ được lúc hạ thì có giờ dính vô được lợi nữa nè actually giờ có nên sẽ tích cho tôi thì có sẽ có giờ tụi dính vô nhau được lúc hạ mà ok tua tuổi giờ tới chân that that's how it is. Very tribal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Chứ yang linh đó là ya, tôi cha thầu mika chứ li lợi chứ li decide to withdraw from Afghanistan. What happened to they tiệp họ they ute nó cho nên thầu nên một sốตัวtí lợi ban mika này. What happens to them?
I think a lot of them cho some J hit cho le mo nya hit le smart cho na le to cho they got out already. Họ they cho le che le they cho nyob because they still believe maybe Mika kind of came out very fast here, very secretly. They cho touchdown. Kind of like biết chồng mong là thôi biết chợ tên là you know.
Yeah.
Mai phun là giao hết trận này giao không để họ cho tất cả chỉ là mà tàu kế lò nữa, you know. It's similar to that in many ways. Cho tiệp phòn đó chứ a lot of them are for cho Afghan army here police she Thailand.
Okay.
But the reality is that thầu là both them mình chỉ support là chỉ cho nhiều tiền a lot of them either go back and become part of the Taliban or like you know they're corrupt too, so the more you get more you know. So and some of them they I think your weapon it's not sophisticated, it's but I mean they're still weapon. So a lot of the high tech stuff a lot of them is stuff that machine gun low, Humvee low, armored car. I don't think any jet fighters because basically the Afghan she were trained on them. Basically they more trained at least 30-40 years old the more logistic to kind of maintain the whole
Yeah, Yolanda no ka PMG tia. What inspired you to join the Army National Guard out of high school, and how did that shape your path? Yeah, bây giờ có chỉ lu share đó còn tới high school có chỉ join Army National Guard thì còn tới nước lòng có lúc này đi chả nó có sẽ kể cho.
Yeah, thằng đó you know cũng nhiều cái sinh you know you cái thật tôi một cần đó nè một you sa thì là một college nè cũng bảo trong cũng có go một college nè hay là you should có American system of education that là bắt đầu như là như vậy nên luôn nè so cho cũng mà cũng sa the only way to go to college I have to join the military to tao có nhiên nè because from the national cũng sai active army active duty army marine navy here the national guard thì cho thằng đó mà the national guard muốn nhiên tao hay thì là chúng muốn nhiên bao nhiêu college đâu Charlie the active service nè so cũng không go mà cũng sao option thì cũng là thể là cũng college nè that's my goal so actually thôi bạn nghe họ thì nhớ option ta thì when I was in there thì 9/11 happened nè you feel very patriotic thì thằng đấy cũng đi decide to leave the guard they go active duty nè because thằng đó thì they chỉ muốn cho thì you're single, you feel like, hey, you want to be a part of history. You want to do something that in history books goes, you know, and partially because you hear a story about you see here, you know, their generation. Like you anything about war, so you're like, oh, that's exciting. I want to be a part of it. So, join active duty. I'm not the type to shit but analysis so that's why I decided to go military intelligence because that's something that I'm very comfortable with to do now. So that kind of led me to that path to kind of military and then day because of that.
Wow. Thì tao có lấy nên tao đại degree ấy có những cái thứ này cần tới được mà lý có hai chỉ có sĩ còn nó có mù chỉ có thể lý tao nhiều là cần tới có sao thì like nhận đến là the got to king có hot leadership nè nu evolve đi chả là nè có sự biệt biệt de nu evolve đi chả thầu pi này to private mu to become into major nu long đi chả nó có
Yeah, so go for you private, you honestly you做 V here you continuous, you know, here you told them go go apply mà go sao to doctor na, they go the hey the national guard là mua cho medical training na, thì thằng nó you được做，hiện nay you said oh you like oh medical in the guard or army, thì it's you know cho credit the by to medical school na. The reality is that it's not like that at all. Thì thầu cú mua hậu army the national guard cú go into medic into common à, thì cú cỡ ta biết cỡ closely ta cú cỡ tiệt ta cú into medic into common bị hạ dụng á, or in the field á. So cú lo thì thầu đấy là cú chắc là cỡ college cú cỡ college close ta thì cú tự lo tờ nè. Thì like I said 9/11 happened là lúc nhỏ là trong cho Twin Tower here Pentagon thì cú tụi này cú tụi là muốn弄được sang tờ nữa, giờ cú tụi tiệt ta thì actually cú tụi này thì hey bên này ít cho officer trong cái yeah especially cái nên giờ tới chờ có bao lùi here có bao different culture, bây giờ một số họ Iraq yeah Afghanistan thì có different perspective is going to be very helpful. You might save some lives, no, you know. So behind that, there was a side. Yeah, I might be because you know you Jimmy guy, so you have that different mindset. So from the good citizen, legal aliens. So I had to go get my citizenship. I got my citizenship in order to be an officer. No? So I got my citizenship. Is 18 months of OCS. Well, nai tu to je ta je lo je sa ko mu ka I hyong ta or intelligent officer na. Je to da je ku ya I tu lieutenant je lo mo ku Samoa Iraq I hyong je ku lo je ku captain je lo mo ku Qhia I ja tu to ka lo ka o to intelligent officer na je le ta je ku mo Afghanistan je ku ta mo Afghanistan ta ka lo je lo mo ku cha wa itu major. You military it's not so you the military military saka you what you call certain job a the more you promote the saka you want to ye ka to who ka way to colonel way to general ka tu what logistic ka tu wa nên đâu ya na so then ka tu itu colonel itu general ka shi ta je ka to logistic ka to food ka to weapons because they want you to be very holistically educated hit you know. So yeah we did a lot go run supply for a while go even though you you know or operation low you write orders to tin to shape ka la to ka la wa so wholly to you to high so you do a lot of different staff job just so that you can be more educated in military terms now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So có biến mình chỉ bây giờ chỉ tông một intelligence school này à? Mình chỉ học intelligence school là thì chỉ tụi con thì nên học cái chỉ cho số tây thì rồi có số ya bây the biggest adversity mình gặp phải nó.
Yeah, thầu cũng một intelligence school ya xong opa hiện nay cho tụi nó bây giờ cái so Russia có so yeah tụi nó số bây giờ nó chúng mình cả cho sao thì số ya ít tu英语đó bên á thì cũng cho các bên một cái mà half of bây giờ criteria mà cái so Russia cho tiệp phò đó cái so lúc thằng từ xong từ là qua gì yeah for example cho lúc thằng là qua tới sinh viên chỉ cho bao thì là hú cho T54 bây giờ thì có thể nó một sự lo một chặt tôi lúc một sự lo một chặt ít bộ 100mm round cho lúc thằng qua tới sinh viên cho thì là hú cho T90 chứ เราจะหมดเสียญี่ปุ่นในกูจี้เฮียเราตัวได้หมดจ้าเฮียเราจะโลกถ่ายได้จ้า so bigger such a conventional Russia จะเจ็บพอนะ because here bigger have here bigger so the whole asymmetric warfare นะจะเกิด so จะ guerrilla warfare อย่างที่จะ Taliban เฮียจะ Al-Qaeda bigger so อย่างนั้นนะ so 这里มีการ intelligence ก็มาเลยสักอยู่สายตัวยิ่งโยนนะเจintelligence นะมาอยู่ก็อยู่เป็นตัวเกิด Russia จะ tactics เชื่อเราจะเจ็บพอแล้วชีวิตจะก็เราไม่จะเจ็บพอเยอะหลายเดียอย่าไปจะต้องจำมีการพอรู้ฐานเนาะรู้เรา Russia นั้นยกขอเชิญเนาะเจไปอีโปแต่รู้เนาะอย่ารู้ scout นะจะมีแต่เราจะโชว์ไปเชิญมาจะมามั่วป้าตู้จอ Russia นะเกี่ยวกับไปตัวโต๊ะผ่อนดาวไปโต๊ะเราจะ tactics เราจะ technique เราชีวิตเดิมนะเจถอไปว่าเขาเหลือจะไปจะนายนะจะไปไปว่าเขาเหลือไปสายตัวยิ่งโยนนะไปสายตัว Russian or ไปสายตัว Al-Qaeda or จะไปตัวเพชรโอ้ยไปจะตัวอเมริกามันจะรู้หานะไปมันจะรู้จงนะเจยากูยาตัว Russia แล้วยากูยาตัวยิ่งโยนนะเจกูรู้มั้งกูจะเตรียมพอติ้งตัวขอนอกนั่นน่ะ so ก็ยาตัวยิ่งโยนก็ตรงนายถงนี่สร้างจะตัวจอมูเรานี่ปากเขาตื้อจะก็ act like the devil's advocate ก็มนุษย์สาก็เนื้อจริงฟ้านั่นน่ะ so that's a big whole role as a military intelligence was to act like the enemy นั่นน่ะ
wow that makes sense wow คือที่นี่จะเชื่อแต่ฉันไปตรง guess ชื่อสิ่งมันอย่า Major Peter Vang เนี่ยจะ retire Army intelligence officer มันนึกกูรอเปียนึกที่เกิดที่เจอเก็บป้อันนี้เขา experience Major Vang ยังเรียนแต่ก็สิเปียมันจะแต่ใช่what was the hardest decision you had to make during your deployment แล้วยังแต่อีลูอีข้อก็ไล่ decide ก็ไล่สารอย่างย่อชับเลยถกก็มัวท่าหาเจอได้เช่นนั้น
yeah อีข้อมามีการมั่วเนี่ยเสียเยอะเลยตุ๊กมีการไปมั่วจะรี compare ได้หรือจะตุ๊กไปมั่ว technology ให้ไปมั่วเนี่ย行动ให้จะไปจะตุ๊กนั้น but the reality is that no matter how rich ก็只冇 enough assets ก็只冇 enough to protect จะตุ๊กนั้น right so กูจะ hold 頭กูเนี่ย Afghanistan มากูจะ control จะ drone เสียจะก็ป้าจะตุ๊กก็แล้วปอbeyond ตอนเต้นyou know เจอยู่มั่วจะในรอบผู้อยู่มั่วปิชลุจะอยู่ตรงจะอยู่มั่วทุกตรงจะอยู่ตรงเทียแต่เขาที่เขาเด็กจะชอบจะอยู่ซ้ายอยู่จะ drone เทียจะนั้นมูใช้เลยจะเกอุ่นเต้เรามูป้าเลยแล้วนะเจได้จอจะอยู่ซ้ายแต่ตัวแล้วจีนี่เจ้าเราจะจีตัว in danger แล้วจะอยู่ซ้ายอยู่จะ asset อยู่ซ้ายอยู่จะนั้นมูป้าเลยจอนะที่ผมเคยจอตัวเจเราจมอเราตัวเจเขาเนี่ยเขาโยชับเลยอย่างalthough you're not involved with it but ก็เขา decision because ก็ไม่จะคงจะหรือตัวนะเจอีจอชิตาวนะเจ้า so they're in more danger นะ so those are still stuff that you can hunt อยู่ป้ออยู่จะนะจะอยู่ป้อเลยจะตุ้งอยู่น้ำมันทะเลอยู่ปืนทะเลนะจะอยู่ป้อเลยยังตัวไหน you know so and then you kind of base ก็เขา decision on จะอยู่ป้อเกี่ยวกับตัวซึ่งนะเจอยู่ชิป้อเขาอยู่ชิป้ออยู่ชิป้อนะเจเขาอยู่ชิมัวเลยเขาดรงเฮียป้าเลยเจจะในจะจมอจะตัวเดียวเขาเลยเขาว่าอยู่ kind of โยชับเลยนะสิ
แล้วก็กูต่อมันจะเที่ยวเราขออย่ารีบไปว่าเขาหรือ City Council มาไปชิมุนเนี่ยจะเราช่วยช่วยตัวนะอย่าไปจุดเดียวอยู่ตัวเลยopposition นะใช่ไหมมั่วก่อลูกกงหอตัวถอนเนี่ยนะอยู่นะลูกกงหอตัวเราอยู่ป้อตาลูกกงหอตัวเราเลยนี่เขาเนี่ยตาthe hardest decision is always the one where you have to say no you know hey man 他只要กูยิ่งสบายในคือเดี๋ยวชิมารู้ต่อเนาะแล้วนี่เลยเนาะจะช่วงนั้นในตัวจีพาของแล้วตัวจีจดเสีย you know but from local perspective แล้วยังนี่เขาจีจดเสียแล้วที่ว่าตัวแล้วของ business แล้วอย่าเดี๋ยวแล้วก็ project ที่นั่นจะแล้วก็อย่าเขากู totally resonate แล้วก็ที่เดี๋ยวคุณลุงก็เดี๋ยว how did your military leadership skill translate to your career in real estate and construction เนี่ยเดี๋ยวลุงมองเดี๋ยวก็ได้เจอเจน的为度乃他哈你龙了你假如个头个了我个好real estate here construction 来乱的
I think tuto topic when I tuto the call teacher, mentor, to servant leader. To nice, okay, so for example, you'll never see itu no mo你就弄什么忙的呢？被摸好了什么家，摸被弄那么了，有时就弄了那忙的呢？Because you don't wanna show that you more power to you you more authority to not on the na. So here被叫奈嘛，有什么叫了，有多家有叫 guys rest on the na. You be the last to sleep and you'll be like the first to get up. That's just how we are trained. Military it's very serious because you don't get you just don't right? I mean that's just the reality. You should don't or you buy a whole chat on. So everything you should try you should we run a lot of scenario in our head that hey ya guji or kanata should not大家賺住俾全部莫就做，俾全部啲或俾全部 gas 做，俾就路快嘅，俾賺住俾冇 emergency，俾冇可能嘅，俾落 shot นะ you know, so you always run scenario นะ so I think you law just civilian world นะyou have the attitude of serving นะ because 俾以前有都做要有耐啦 actually you just serve people นะ you get to okay 咗啲呢 so 投股啦 realtor here 投股啦，俾個 construction 嘅 go treat with your clients like you feel like you serve you work not because you saw it but because because you're still with it. So serving here you're willing to you no matter what in the military you a good leader always get their hands dirty, you know. You fight boy you sometimes you you know, because that show a lot of they give you a lot of respect because you're willing to kind of come to their level, even though have more authorities over them. Sure. So you use the same mentality to business not afraid to get your hands dirty, serve your clients, you know, and you always run scenario that hey, you know, did I cover everything? Buy everything to the best of my ability to buy with your clients got successful. Yeah. Scenario you bought the solution just in case. So I think that the mentality from the military you kind of serve very well for business.
Okay. Yeah, the PMG channel cái lúc là lúa nó cái co-founder là ya co-owner the
partner,
okay, partner the Herizon Construction cái PMG này cho hồi ya lịch giang thế có cho nó họ bảo đến này cho là lúa ya chỉ thế.
Yeah, so trong phát của bên của tờ hậu active duty của chắc là Army Reserve na hậu nhớ hậu Minnesota ya của bao nhiêu thì của chỉ sao mà some thông plan constantly move around na của chắc là nhớ là thì who decide that who sa or to rotor you know thằng đó chỉ cú lo or chỉ thằng đó chỉ cú uncle chỉ nên to broker na nếu phòng chỉ phòng hơi chỉ nên to broker chỉ nên nếu real estate company tự nhiên tao chỉ có trâu xong na chỉ thằng đó chỉ a lot of big clients mà là chỉ có chỉ mua na chỉ là chỉ có chỉ là bé na chỉ chỉ là chỉ bao là chỉ cho nên có chỉ là cho nên mua nhẹ chỉ là xếp nhẹ chỉ là有就只là chỉ bây giờ bao cho nên con chỉ bây giờ mua là bây giờ tụi mình làm chỉ đi refer mua cho tụi nó thì cả có chỉ and then one day it dawned to us that hey you know bây giờ của your partners like your background thì construction here we just focus so much on real estate why won't we get a general contracting license here instead of just you know referring to other people we can take care of these clients so at first you take care of the clients the real estate clients goes na to the to call you buy you more lu construction company mà call and then eventually serve you decide to get a little bigger so we started you know working in the community to you know to just to open up and to start working with big non-clients. So I think it's got more involved with commercial properties, yuav properties, commercial mong or mika business owner. They want renovate here. They work with the local bank. Call here, Bashi city, a grant in the from call take a location in the Twin City that là tốt cho nhiên đó thì bị bắt caught in the here chỉ đang đó bị mua bị tụt lùi là tuần chuẩn bị là giờ mong chỉ là bỏ tiền là hậu lực cho mi cả là chỉ đầu cơ chỉ cho mi cả là cho này hay mi cả đó chỉ tàu nhiên chỉ là chỉ nhớ hậu Saint Paul là chỉ nhớ chỉ cho nó là xí nhiên là họ chơi chỉ cho nhiên never come back to the community nữa thì là sản join bị là bỏ thì bị ý cho bị luôn construction company. Now, she always give back to the community. I think to date, we gave over $120,000 to $130,000 back to the community, and a lot of that is to the Hmong community, some to the Korean, to the Tibetan, a lot of Hispanic community here in the Twin City. The neej basically trying to so basically, we do a lot of event more to their focus on working with insurance here, storm damage to roof here, siding thing that enjoying we've been very successful with a lot of teamwork. New team members to focus on construction, commercial, residential here, working with insurance, call roofing here, just sightings for storm damage. So we do a lot, different type of constructions. But for me, I don't have a construction background, so I do more of the admin office work here. We do a PR here to kind of on social media to expose, to kind of give credit to bigger team. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, go ahead, near major. Ne hamo bicho to me how do you balance holu nyari ka o the hamo pa ne minyo the to near major ne ni hapo la lo the la ne nyalo cha the.
Yeah, so good wife new work by US Federal Bank now in Minneapolis, and then when COVID hit to COVID cho pa ningo in the je la o ho jes na je tong de je mo autominio la je me da shi la mo tu third one na je ni idea ni because to be mo tu ti to ti on na je autumn da je we all been busy o ho je each to like beach ball we never race beat autominio na because be mo cho na ni dai he je zilo jo na or be ball he jo so
we are so lucky to have them.
Yeah. So the third one, kind of grow, so from the good whole army, we more call pension the whole army, but hey, because of the military, whole military, but the more call pension, that helps pay your bill, so you need that whole, own own business, so everything kind of worked together. The whole military, the pension, the full-time job. Once COVID was done, because they all have to go back to 9 to 5 at work now. When a new company, or more e-commerce, online. So willing to part-time or raising a kid, and then in the future she's gonna go back to full-time, more of focusing on this business now.
Sure, yeah. Có một more advice cho bây giờ Hmong veteran you take cho nó một tha hại lại có thể là sapi lu la lo có một more advice rồi thế.
Yeah, they're very they can be kind of, if you're in the military now, there's a lot of opportunities from the military to buy you. You don't have law here. You don't need a way outside the military. Not hot on that. The only thing is that you got to search for it. Nothing is given free now. So, Topenya home military, you're so busy now. The military give you a lot of options. They hey, you but they don't give you the time, so you have to make the time, or you have to do the research now. You really have to search for it because the mentality that I'm not going to stay in the military forever. Someday I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
So while I'm in the military, I have to prep for my to leave the military now. So that's the mentality that I have. So certification for anything. Actually, I try to finish it in the military because so if you have the mentality that the military will prep you instead of just like a ride, there's plenty of good entrepreneur degree. The military pay for everything. Your computer here, because hey, in order to set up a little business, the justification, okay, that justification is good. Business now. So I would say I have a lot to think from the military, but you don't do your homework and you're not going to get it. You really have to do your homework in order to take care of yourself.
Cái này chạp như sau đó bé tụ khoa mà chưa xem mà nói Major Peter Vang, nếu cứ itu retire Army Intelligence Officer, hôm nào nếu cứ là nó bé tham gì. Major Vang, if you could pass down one piece of wisdom to the next generation, what would it be? Thì có mỗi họ lù chân chơiแล้วhọ lù cái啥แล้วhọ lù cái chơi cái cỡ cái chơi đâu cho mình dùng mong cho lo ya bị số nó hay cả đó là.
Yeah, I think one thing we always try younger generation we're very family oriented. Saga, your cousin, your uncle, okay, because but the best thing is to get out of the Hmong community, to go out to explore now, to find yourself. Because to be honest, I feel like you're in your Hmong community now all your life now. You become too comfortable, and you won't get tested now. You to kind of really explore, to know yourself, and kind of push yourself too. And then you can always come back to help improve the Hmong community and to be a part of the community. I don't have a mentality of coming back trying to be a leader in the Hmong community or anything like that. My goal was just to come back and make the same mistake that you make. And you kind of give them advice, and you try to help them, whether financially, with your experience, or a word of wisdom. That's just my mentality. But yeah, I feel like never joined the military. I never left my family.
Yeah.
I would have probably honestly work at a factory job now, because they push your thinking. You thought that, oh yeah, you always sadly don't go see you kind of borrow some of their best qualities to improve yourself now, so being in the military, I met a lot of people, some good, some bad, some really smart, some really nice people, and a lot of them, some of them that became my mentor are the one that really helped me to expand my horizon. So final word is just get out of your comfort zone. Just go out there and don't be afraid to leave the Hmong community, because you can always come back to the Hmong community.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What do you think has been your greatest contribution to the Hmong community? They got to king got side they got a lot of place on chap got to much jail more put or page name.
I think what I want to do is Gusaka. I feel that maybe just Google personal opinion. Gucci sa te pe mona to be um to be a leader na.
Hmm.
A lot of a lot of a lot of big leader ke to you to opposition ke you she expect people serve go na.
À.
I always believe that to be a good leader now, you still serve good people now. Like any good leader, you always serve your people. You position is not a title, but is a it should be something that like the community believe that you're there because you're willing to serve them. So I like the concept of being a servant leader. I want more people to kind of understand to kind of take up that role, even in a high position, like you're willing to do stuff to just to benefit the community, and another thing is that sometimes being a Hmong mentality, but the reality is that we're in a community with many multicultural people all combined together, and
Yeah.
The reality is at the end of the day, you're not going to go far, but you have to have a mentality of, if somebody is deserving help, whether they're Hmong or not, you should to help them because if they're successful, then most likely they're going to be an impact on the community to help one way or another, indirectly to the Hmong people as well too.
Yeah, good. I like that. Sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Bây giờ là sau này nó thế我做呢要点的讲也叫是要朋友说的那lòng lòng major Peter và cho lù này họ nhẹ này họ cởi tổ chỉ thằng là thọ subscribe thế họ like thế ông lên tới YouTube thế bao thế thế Facebook thế bao tiền này họ cởi tổ chỉ thế này cái major và what does the future hold for you? And what's next on your journey? Like today, ya be shown up be go your chushi actually go your wachi. It sound like them go you run for public office. Tell I don't go lose
Oh no.
go film.
No, to introvert. I'm not good in public now, but always in the background to support people. Now, I'm always willing to be the guy in the back to help that person out. Even young Zoavi clean a janitor in the future to support them, I'm willing to do that because that's just my nature. To be even though as a leader to be out front, to be very loud, hit boisterous, support the team member successful. So I think if I continue to do that, I think I will do a good service to the community.
But what's next for you?
Next for me, I think my wife said that Qhua spent too much time at work and your kids so I'll probably spend more time traveling, maybe come and see you more often.
Okay.
And just spend more time with the kids because I think I'm at a point where I should spend more time with my kids and less time on social media and maybe even less time, with the business too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What cho lên số này cho major Peter và nó có mà nó có chỗ lòng mỗi cho một nhiều lúc cũ thế có hỏi experience khi bên này có cho trên này cho chỉ trong xe tiền nó này cũng lần đó ư sai thổ bí một số tổ sau này cho hành đó sai là chỉ nhữngวันนี้sẽ cho ya thế này có tổ chỉ nó là subscribe thế họ like cái gì thế con này họ có tổ này sao mới share này thế mình tụi mình nhiều là mới share cho lớn à cái我cho Major Vang, thank you for your contribution to this country and to the Hmong community. Có chỉ ấy tu thà hạ đồ Hmong dư để chỉ đồ tích cho mình cả nó. Có giờ ấy tu nên thì我被Hmong muốn chơi mua đó họ vì thì被Hmong yên yo mình cả cho ally bất thấu mình cả bảo để被做许多了家不thấu从靠越南西个我了cho nên là nó có họ mới tu thà có全部我ấy tu intelligent officer thế nào chứ còn nói gì我被路蒙路公路被海呀用海人多差好古被我个做呢thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you. Sorry, I've been away from the Hmong community for so long, so quite new sajona she needs to sell it go I'm trying to the best I can I lo mo she go hai to miming hina ke thoughts ya
Rong cơ mà. Okay.
right thank you